the iPhone 15 Pro Max for more than a month now, and this is my 1-month review. Starting off with design. The iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max have a new titanium frame. A common misconception is that the entire iPhone is titanium, but really it's just the edges. The back is still the same glass that we saw in previous iPhone models, and it's still pretty sturdy. Overall, I'm a huge fan of the titanium edges. I always thought the stainless steel edges looked really classy, but they would get dirty so fast, like especially with fingerprints. The titanium edges just feel super premium and look clean most of the time. I'm also a huge fan of the natural gray version of the phone. I do wish the Pro phones had more fun colors though, but I will say the gray actually looks pretty amazing, and sometimes, even depending on the light, it looks kind of green or blue. I'm really liking the color a lot more than the dull purple from last year. Every year I tell myself that I'm gonna go caseless, but as usual I ended up getting the Apple Clear MagSafe case, which I'm always a fan of. The quality is good and they're really durable and don't yellow, and the color of the phone really gets shown with this case. Another huge change with the iPhone this year is that it now has an action button instead of a mute button. You can customize it to be anything you want. I've seen a lot of really cool ways people have been using this button for complex shortcuts, but I ended up just keeping mine as a quick way to launch the camera app. And if I'm being honest, I keep forgetting that I set it up that way, and that's what I matched it to. Now, Android phones have had USB-C for so long, but as a content creator, having USB-C on the iPhone has been a pretty big game changer. USB-C on the iPhone is so helpful. It honestly unlocks so many possibilities, like being able to attach a flash drive or external hard drive directly to the iPhone so that you can access files that way and film directly to the drive. You can also use the USB-C port to charge other iPhones or other accessories like the DJI mic, or literally anything with the USB-C port. It's pretty handy, and it's nice to see Apple finally added the port. Let's move into the cameras now. The cameras on this iPhone are insane. Like, I knew that the Pro Max had an all-new periscope lens that lets you zoom really far, but literally all the lenses just seem so new. Maybe it's a new algorithm or something, but I feel like the cameras are way better than the 14 Pro Max. The 14 Pro Max had this weird way of lighting faces and editing and handling skin tones, and I feel like a lot of that was fixed on this phone, and you can really tell. I find myself reaching for my iPhone to take pictures and videos way more and just really enjoying the cameras overall. Now let's get into the zoom. By default, it lets you zoom in 5 times. When you're filming video though, you can actually zoom even further, up to 15 times. Beyond the 5 times is digital zoom, so it does get a little less clear the further you zoom out. But overall, it's really just so impressive. When you're taking a picture, you can actually go an extra 10 times, which means you can get a zoom of up to 25 times. It's gonna be super pixelated, but it is insane how far the zoom goes. There's also a new interface that pops up in the top right to help you with framing. I've been having so much fun with the zoom, and I really think it adds a whole new dimension for creators out there. Just to give you an idea of what 15 times and 25 times looks like, just check out these videos. It's pretty wild. Night photography and videography also feels super strong here. I noticed that the phone doesn't switch to night mode immediately now and really only turns on when it's pitch dark. Video is still really clear even at night. Let's talk about speed and performance. Recent iPhones are by no means slow at all. Like, even the iPhone XR and XS are still going pretty well and running fast, and they still support iOS 17. Every year Apple introduces a new chip, but this year the performance and graphics really feels different. With the A17 Pro, Apple is really positioning the iPhone to be a gaming powerhouse. The A17 Pro now has 6 cores of GPU, and it is really powerful. It's kind of wild that console-level Resident Evil and Assassin's Creed games are going to be available on the iPhone soon. And with ray tracing. Like, ray tracing is incredibly graphics demanding. This is pretty wild. Even not so graphics intensive games like Fall Guys also runs buttery smooth on the iPhone. It's going to be really interesting to see what other console games come over to the iPhone though in the future. Let's talk about battery life. Battery life on the iPhone 15 Pro Max has been pretty good. For some reason on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, right before upgrading to this iPhone, my max battery capacity was already at 89%. I've never had an iPhone go that low under a year of usage. Part of the reason I was so excited to get the 15 was that I was getting a brand new battery. I always thought the 13 series had the best battery life, but the 15 has been pretty great. I use my iPhone a lot, and I would take the phone off of charge at 8 AM in the morning and still have at least 10% of charge left at around 11 PM at night. I never really worry about having to charge either, and now that it's USB-C, even if I do need to charge, I feel like there's always a USB-C charger somewhere around. So that was my review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max after using it for a month. Overall, I'm super happy with this iPhone. Now, my previous iPhone was the iPhone 14 Pro Max, so there's not too much that's different with this phone, but there are so many small features that make everyday life so much easier with this phone that I'm really happy that I went with the 15 Pro Max. Overall, I'm super happy with this phone. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are though.